Hey guys, what's up? Another green day, which means I need to turn the green lights on. I just remembered that. 1 second. There we go. Green lights on. Green day today. $128 in just under, we'll say, an hour and 15 minutes today. It is 9:56 as I'm recording this, and it was a good day. It was a good day. I waited for the pattern that I was looking for to develop, and it did. And then I capitalized on it. And again, just adjusting those stops to make sure that my losses are becoming small, consistently small, and that's been the most beneficial thing for me. Is just making sure you have a tight loss, because I can take a trade that's a negative $10 here, negative $10, negative $15, and then boom, you get one, and then it goes, and you run for $150, and you make up some of those losses. So that was really exciting today, just to trust the patterns. To have another green day, but I did have a losing trade on. I was trying to trade some of those breakout stocks, those stocks that were gapping up overnight. I still don't understand how to do that yet, and it might be a software issue because my software doesn't fill orders as quickly as I want. But that's okay. I'm very comfortable with the strategy that I'm developing, and I have developed. And again, I can't argue with another green day. $128, only not even 10 a.m. yet. And very excited about it. So let's get to the recap. But before, look at this. This is a gray hair right there. Trading can be stressful sometimes. So I guess a side effect is that gray hair. Just one. Darn it. Anyway, let's get to the recap. Here we go. Okay, so today I traded SPY again and profited $154.24 on 2,000 shares. So when I make a purchase order for 100, that goes up by 100, right? And then when I sell that 100 shares, then it goes up another 100. So it's really about 1,000 shares, but that's just how they do that. So anyway, so that's what that means. And then the other stock that I traded today was CEI, and lost $26.95. So let's start with the losing trade, and then we'll finish with the winner. Oh, see, I probably could have made some money on this one. That's okay. I really just don't feel comfortable trading these breakout stocks. And so, yeah, maybe I'm leaving money on the table. I mean, I'm definitely leaving money on the table, but you can always say that. So anyway, what I tried to do here with CEI, I need the 1 minute chart here, was I tried to time the breakout at the beginning. And so I thought that once it pulled back about right here, where was it? It was about right here. I thought that once it pulled back, no, that doesn't really show up, does it? Well, once it pulled back, I thought that it would break higher. It didn't. It broke down. And so I saw this green candle, and I thought, okay, I'll place my order around that point. And then I thought, okay, this is going to be a second push, and it will move the stock higher. And it didn't really do that. It sort of it retreated back and sold off to a different point. And I wasn't comfortable with taking the loss. You're going from 217 down to 190, and that's roughly a 30, it would be a $300. Would that be a 300? I don't know. I wasn't comfortable with the loss there. I like having tight stops. I like catching the momentum and the moves on the way up. So I didn't want to hold into this dip because I'm not comfortable with it. And again, if you're not comfortable with the pattern, and if you're not comfortable trading, and none of this is financial advice, if you're not comfortable with the pattern, if you're not comfortable trading, then it's very nerve-wracking, and that's probably where the gray hair comes from. It's very nerve-wracking, and that's why the biggest thing that I'm learning is that you need to trust the charts. I should have that every day under what I learned, because the more you see different chart patterns develop, the more you trust the charts, the more confident you feel that, oh, I put in the order at the right time, this stock or ETF or whatever is going to swing in the direction that I anticipated a majority of the time, right? And so that's why charting is so important. That's why technical analysis is so cool, because you can trust the pattern that you see develop to your profit. A little side note about that. I always say that charting is really like psychology and sociology represented on graphs, on charts. And we have principles for psychology and sociology, like social conformity is a thing. We have other principles of the bystander effect. These are things that happen in the world that we explain through our theories and through the patterns that we see, and then we can make these theories. It's really the same thing with these markets. There are patterns in nature, there are patterns in human behavior that we see represented on these graphs. So a lot of people are like, oh, these are just like hocus pocus, all sort of craziness, like this doesn't mean anything, you're just drawing lines after the fact. It's like, no, we're looking at human behavior with regards to price action, and we're charting that, and that is something that you don't see when you learn math. You don't look at the world and nature through patterns, you just memorize numbers. But Fibonacci retracement levels are all over nature, and the pi ratio, the ratio of pi, is all over nature. And so these are patterns that we see, just like patterns that we see on these charts. So I don't need to like belabor that point, but a lot of people are uncomfortable with trying to do technical analysis. But technical analysis is just pattern recognition in markets, which is really, really awesome that it works. So anyway, lost $26 here, $27 on CEI, trying to trade again a stock that I didn't know anything about as far as like how to trade, and so lost the money there, but had the tight enough stops that hopefully I can learn some lessons from that. And maybe one of those lessons is just stop trying to be something that I'm not. Stop trying to trade like other traders do and trade these huge breakouts, and instead just stick to what I know best, and that's trend lines, and that is moving averages and VWAP. So let's go over to the winning trade of the day over here, and I'm actually going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to go to charts and see if I can bring this up and get a good chart to teach with on this. Okay, so this is the 1 day, 1 minute chart. So let's look at the 1 minute, 1 day chart here. Yesterday, I traded, we'll say live, and I saw, this is yesterday, and I had this triangle that developed later in the day. And if we look at this, it's really just the high of the day. The high of the day developed yesterday right here out of the gate, so this would be around 9:40 a.m. The SPY shot up. I traded this triangle, the breakout of the triangle. We talked about that in the video yesterday. Had this trend line form here, which is this gray trend line. And then I also sort of completed this trend right here with this this top. And so we had a top form at about 52.69. Now that's a resistance zone, a zone of resistance, and it held true because this kept going, and then the stock went up and down, blah, 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 and then it came back up to that zone again and tested it again, and it failed. And then came back down, tested it again and failed, consolidated it down overnight, failed, down, failed, right? And so then it's in no man's land. Comes back up, breaks out, fails, breaks out, fails. Now this is today, but it was really good to have this trend line in place from day to day. And why that was so good was because it allowed me a zone of resistance and support today to trade that I knew had some staying power. I mean, this was something that would be sellers would show up, buyers would show up, and it would be something that this ETF would have trouble breaking through. And we'll look at how this looked right here. All right. So right out of the gate, when the market opened, it opened about, I think, with hardly any change overnight. I mean, it went up and back down overnight, so it wasn't really a big swing overnight. But this is the 1 minute chart, by the way. Okay, so it opened overnight, came down. We put in a daily low on the first candle because then it shot back up. And we kind of meander around and bounce off of the moving average, and we put in this daily high. And so once that happens, once we have a few data points, I was able to draw a trend line. And so I drew a trend line, and I drew it with this yellow one here. And then at first, I based it off of this trend line from the previous day, this resistance zone. And look what happened. Once we started gaining that momentum, we started bouncing. Well, we bounced here, so this trend line bounced here, then came up, came back down, bounced here, and then shoots up. Now, with this momentum, I'll make it a little more clear. With this momentum here, we shot above this level, and so you were. I think one of my trades was to put an order in just above that level, so that I could catch some of this momentum. So you put this in at 252.76 to confirm the breakout, and then it moves all the way up to 253.32, and then you could set your stop, somewhere around 253.16, and then once it falls back, if it falls back, right, because there was a lot of room to run if it were to, it could have just kept going up. There's no more resistance until 255, but it didn't. It fell back down as a false breakout, comes back down, and you would have stopped out. And I think that was one of my trades, was stopping out back up here. So it's key to know those support and resistance levels, because they can carry on day to day and help you out that way. So now, as the stock continued to fall, we had this, it fell back into this triangle. And once it got through this triangle, because it comes back down, tests it, comes back down, tests it, comes back down, tests it, and then we break through. We retest the triangle trend line, but now we've confirmed we're on the bottom side of the trend line. So I put a trade in. Once it confirmed that it was bounced off of this trend line, I put a order in here, and then rode this down and took profits all the way down. I'm not sure where I went to on this one. I just took profits all the way down and scalped some profits there. And then we had another trend line that started forming. So this was another trend line because we put in a bottom, and then this trend line started forming. So it bounces up here, up again near this zone of resistance, and again it fails. But because this trend line was drawn after this was put in, after this bottom was put in, I had a point here I could draw to connect here. And look, it fails like triangles do, screams down through it, back to this level here, and we kind of stay there for a little bit. So I could have put an order in there and tried to scalp that loss. I didn't. I wasn't quick enough to do that, but it confirmed to me that this trend line was valid, that this zone of resistance was still holding up, and then here we are again. So now we have a trend line we can draw, and it looked like this at the time. Looked like that at the time, because all I had to work with, if we scroll over, all I had to work with at that time was this. Okay, was this. Uncertain what's going on there. I don't trade horizontal lines because you never know which way they're going to break, but this was the pattern that I had to me, and then lo and behold, it comes back up, goes above my existing line that I drew from here to here, extended, and then comes back down and fails. And when it failed, and it was about 3/4 of the way through the triangle, I got ready and I said, okay, I need to redraw this, because if you've been following me, I think the last several days I've said you might need to redraw your trend lines once on triangles. So I redrew that trend line. I drew in this long-term trend line already, so I knew what the low point would be. And look what happens. It goes down, meanders, meets this trend line here, and then boom, breaks through to resistance, to support rather. Okay, breaks through with authority. We get about from 58 to, so we get about 50 cents of scalping profit there. And then I wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to see if would it move back up, but it didn't. It kept going lower through these zones of resistance, and then it bottomed out here. Now, once it bottomed out and I saw it close up and then take up here, and then I saw a little bit of failure, I knew, okay, this might be another triangle. So I drew another triangle in here. And this was the triangle I drew. I drew it from the bottom here. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in again. There we go. All right. So, it was losing, I knew it was losing steam when you see these green candles appear. So a green candle appeared, and then another green candle appeared there, so that was, it's losing steam, and it might to a trend reversal. But it didn't. It started fading, and then once it confirmed here, I said, okay, we have a flat bottom here on this triangle, so I drew a trend here, and then I could draw this trend line because I had this data point, this data point, this data point, and then I waited to see where it went. It went to here, so I drew in another data point, and now we've got another triangle to see what was going to happen with. It broke through this triangle, gathered, didn't break through again through this trend line, and so I set an order right here, and then I just kept adjusting the stop and took profits somewhere along the bottom there. Okay, and then that's where I stopped trading for the day, because I was already at my $100 goal, and again, $128 on the day. That's good. But look at we're seeing it come back to this 248.82 zone of resistance. It bounced. We'll call it 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever. Boom. Broke here, but you have to wait till the candle closes to see what happened. Where is this zone? Oh, yeah, look at way back here overnight. It shot down to that zone overnight yesterday. Yeah, I had some trouble with that. So it's gonna have some trouble breaking through that. If it is gonna break through that, and I don't like going back and trading again, but if it might break through this, you could put an order in right here at, we'll call it 248.67. I'm not saying you should do this if you're watching this video. None of this is financial advice. I could put an order in at 248.67 and kind of scalp this down to 248.21 and then see what happened too. So there's a lot of stuff you could do. You might even see a triangle forming here that you could form. So if I was still trading, I might do something like connect those dots. So now we have a triangle forming here and here, and we're gonna just see what happens, and if this breaks, kind of want to trade it. Let's see if this breaks while we're watching this. We're looking for a 248.79 break. And it might not. It might use this as support and then bounce back and then test this downward trend line again, which is how I traded this one. Right? It bounced here, it bounced up, and then it broke through. I'm just gonna keep this. This is an interesting trade, so we'll just see what happens. While this is happening, talk about things I learned. The first one is slow and steady wins the race. I am reading this wonderful book to my daughter called Aesop's Fables, and I've read it before, but this one's by Miles Kelly, and if you guys have kids, it's just really good. It's just a beautiful book. But anyway, I'm reading this book to my daughter. She loves it. I love it. And slow and steady wins the race. It's something that there are a lot of YouTubers out there who are, showing people how they're trading and all this stuff, and they're making thousands of dollars. I am so happy with just being consistent and not taking those big swings, not risking a lot of capital, and just slowly but surely, like the tortoise in the book, just making some profits every day. And so $100 for me is great. And eventually, as I start, see, there is our break. Let's see what happens here now, if it would continue or not. But this is a downward. This just solidifies sort of a downward trending thing here, unless it's a false breakout. But anyway, I'm just okay with making the $128. Sometimes I make more, sometimes I make a little bit less, but I like to try to keep that $100 goal because it's a small goal. It's a reachable goal. It's something you can do and feel good about hitting your goals. And then eventually, when I grow my account, when I don't want to put my life savings on the line, but when I start growing my account more and more and more, I'll be able to just increase share size. Instead of trading 100 shares at a time, I'll trade 200 shares at a time. And then instead of a $100 goal, I'll be seeing $200 goals, and and then you just increase your share size again. And because you have your account, you can grow and you can have some bigger swings. But I'm okay with that. Slow and steady wins the race. Consistency is key, and so I'm becoming a better trader because I'm being more. I know that because I'm being consistent. I've only had 3 losing days in the last 4 weeks or whatever it's been, so that's wonderful. Another thing is, I do best when I wait for my trend lines to develop. I don't want to trade out of the gates, and I don't want to trade, before I see a pattern. If I was trading, if I was really anxious and trading this, it would I wouldn't be able to hold. I wouldn't be as confident in what's going on that I would be able to hold. If I only had, 3 closing minute candles to go off of, and I'm like, this is going higher, and I put in the order, and then it goes lower, what do? I just get stressed out, and I'm not able to hold on to that position and get the profits that I want. So this is not financial advice. For me, making sure that I wait till trends lines develop, take what the market gives me, that's key for me. And then the last thing is just, not trying to be something that I'm not trying to trade other people's strategies. This is a strategy that works for me. It's something that I've developed, and I almost don't want to be like other traders, because then I have to be like other traders. I have to learn their system. For me, the patterns that I look for, the simplicity of this system that I'm developing, it works for me because I get it, and so far it's consistent and it's profitable, and it's doing all the things I needed to do for my system, for this day trading side hustle, so that I can continue to develop streams of passive income. So that's what I like to do, and that's why I like this system, and that's why I don't trade like Warrior Trader. That's why I don't trade like the other traders out there. I trade the way I do because it works for me, and they can trade the way they do because it works for them, right? So I think that's key. Anyway, that's what I have today. Another wonderful day in the books. Again, 10:22. So I'm going to go and work on some other passive income ideas and things I'll be bringing to this channel much later once they develop. So have a wonderful day today. Be productive today, and stay healthy today, because we're still in the midst of this coronavirus thing. And I'll see you guys Monday, hopefully, in the videos that I bring to you about my day trading. So take care. I'll see you then. All right, so there you have it. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. And you can check out some of the other trading videos that I have that'll be up here somewhere, I think. Yeah, right here somewhere. Check those out. And as always, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.